friends with many politicians, including, from what I hear, Buddy Cianci.
Oh yeah, he's a good friend. Yeah.
Uh, who is or was, to this day, your favorite politician? Somebody that you might have emulated, or somebody that was your hero, or somebody that may be on the scene today that, if you had the opportunity to be that person, you'd say, oh God, I'd really like to be him, because you think he's doing a fantastic job,
Yeah.
or did do a fantastic job.
A very difficult question. Very, very difficult question. Because there are so many people who I appreciate what they're doing now and who are helpful to me now in different things. But I would have to say that I was a very strong admirer of Governor Frank Leach. He instituted a tax that he said he wasn't going to work on, but he saw the situation, saw the need for it, and took a stand and put it on. And I admired him tremendously. And I had friends who were, Phil Noel, tremendous friend as governor, Joe Gary, tremendous friend, and Joe Donnelly, mayor of Providence, again, a real good friend, and Buddy Cianci, who's a real good friend. There are a lot of people who I would probably like to be a little part of each of them, maybe. But I do admire Frank Leach because I thought he was a very honest man, did what he thought was right, and said let the chips fall where they may. And you don't find that in a lot of people in political life.
Is it true what they say about Buddy Cianci? He's given you enough spaghetti sauce for the next 10 years?
He actually hasn't given me any. We've purchased some of it and enjoy it very much, by the way. It's different. But he's a very, very good man. He's doing a good job. He's doing a job that just seems made for him.
He's very colorful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
He seems to love the job.
He does. It's you wonder how things went without him, before. But he goes after what he wants. He goes after it, and generally, he gets his way. I say whatever Buddy wants, but he gets.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, when he ran for governor years ago, he had asked me to be his running mate to change parties, and run as lieutenant governor. And I weighed everything. The Democratic Party had been good to my family over the years, and we were brought up that way. And you end up being, now I wouldn't say like die-hard Democrats, because I think now everybody votes the way they want to vote, but that was the party you supported, and I just couldn't see changing parties, and so I backed off that, But I was very honored to have been thought of that highly by him, to have been selected to run,
Harp, on a more serious note, I read in the Newport Daily News an excellent article by Jim Gillis that you're fighting the biggest battle of your life right now. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Well, in February this past year, I was diagnosed as having a cancerous tumor on my liver, which was quite shocking to me. But I had some surgery done in December on my hand, and as a result of some tests, my doctor, my primary healthcare physician, Dr. Harold Sanders, suggested I go into some more testing. I did some 24-hour urine tests and blood tests and things, and then went into Newport Hospital for some further testing, and they finally did a biopsy of my liver, of the tumor, and concluded it was indeed cancerous. And that was shocking, again, very, very shocking to find that out. And I felt fortunate that I was at least home alone. My wife had been shopping, and when he called to tell me, because I kind of fell apart a little bit, but then you come back, Yeah. But then you have to say, well, what do we do? And you try to make the most of it, and naturally you want to stop the tumor from growing. So I went to a local oncologist. Well, he comes here, Dr. Smythe, Dr. James Smythe, and it's amazing, amazing, the network that these doctors work with. You know, until you get into a situation like this, and I hope you never do, you find out how concerned all of these people are. And I'll say, you know, there's a lot of talk about healthcare organizations not being all that good. I have this Harvard healthcare from Newport Electric as a plus to my Medicare, and they have been fantastic. So I go to Dr. Smythe, and he talks to people, doctors at Rhode Island Hospital, at at Brigham and Women's up in Boston, and they're in constant contact. I mean, and none of these people making any money on this, you know, with the exception when I go for an office visit. It's all to take care of me, to get me better in the interest of medical science. Well, it was determined after a number of tests that, you know, all the biopsies, you know, my barnacle tubes and all that stuff, that the only place I did have this cancer was the liver. So they thought that I had a pretty good chance of getting part of this tumor, if not all of it, removed surgically. And I went up to Boston and was interviewed and had further tests and went in for a pre-op on a Friday and then went in Monday for the operation. And they had told me that they were going to do this scope through the navel, that they put this little machine in and a little scope and they looked the area over. So when I came out of all of that and saw these people there with frowns instead of smiles, you know, I said, well, you know, what happened? What went wrong? And they said that they couldn't operate because they found I also had a very severe case of cirrhosis of the liver, and which was, you know, odd because I hadn't had a drop of alcohol in over 14 years, you know. Wow. But they claim that probably it's the result of the chemicals I work with over the years, you know, with the power company and everything. But anyways, that left me wondering, you know, what do we do next? But again, back to Dr. Smythe and consulting with him, and they concluded that my next best bet was a procedure they call chemoembolization of the liver. Excuse me. And again, that involves a direct injection into the tumor of this mixture, you know, the chemo and the some oil and some tiny beads that they hope to choke off the blood supply and all that to the tumor. And I went to Rhode Island Hospital for this. They all put their heads together and concluded that that would be the place for this. And I went to a Dr. Timothy Murphy up there, and he kind of takes care of me there. So I had part of the tumor done one time and got, you know, quite sick. You get sick after. If you know anybody who's had any of that treatment, it's very, very hard to explain, you know, how nauseous you get and all that. And then I went for the second half, and that wasn't nearly as bad as the first half. I didn't feel as bad so long after. And when I was up talking to Dr. Murphy after, and they were checking the results of those procedures, he explained to me a new procedure that they were doing, where they inject 100% alcohol into the tumor. Oh. And I said, oh my gosh, I thought that's how I got this way. And I talked to Dr. Murphy and I said, well, what do you think? You know, is it worth a shot? And he said, yes. He says, it's new, it's very aggressive. They don't know exactly what reactions I would have after because they hadn't done it all that much. But they figured normally you go in an hour for the procedure, a couple of hours in the hospital after, and then send you home. Well, I did have kind of a reaction to it and got quite sick, although they did let me go home that evening. But then as the days went by, a few days went by, and I thought I should start coming back again, you know, feeling a little better. But I had no appetite. I lost my appetite. I was in pain. And I called Dr. Murphy. He says, get right up here. So I went up there again. They did the CAT scan and sonograms, and they determined that there was an infraction of the liver. In other words, this procedure had killed a very small part of what good liver I had left. But the good news was he felt they took a tremendous shot at the tumor. So unless I have some problems, in the meantime, he did prescribe, antibiotics and all that and pain medication, and I've been doing fine. I'm a little pain, but unless I have problems, in the meantime, I don't have to go back until September 28th. Now that's nice. That's a long breather, and I won't be getting sick in between. But it makes you appreciate life, and it makes you appreciate what a lot of people go through. I was talking to someone just this morning, and they had a friend who had 54 chemo treatments. Oh my gosh, and I had friends that used to go up to Boston, every couple of days, and you'd hear about how sick they got. But you can imagine how sick they got, until you went through it. So I really feel fortunate that so far it hasn't spread anywhere else. And I live a halfway decent life. I get tired, I get exhausted, but when I do, I take a break. I'm retired now, and if I have to miss something, a meeting, I miss it. That's how it goes. But I feel good.
Does it make you enjoy, like you said, enjoy the things that are around you? Like if you go out in your garden, do you really enjoy the flowers?
Well, I don't do too much gardening. I'm not that. But it does. Yes, it does make you enjoy things a whole lot more, and things you took for granted. Like your grandchildren and your great grandchildren, and you cherish every moment you have with them. They come to visit me, or I go to visit them, and you do appreciate all those things. I appreciate probably more now than ever. Not that I never appreciated before, but the things that my wife does continues to do for me. And the care that I get from her. She really is in there pitching, and making sure I do this, make sure I take this, make sure, you call the doctor, and get up there or whatever. So I appreciate it. And the cards and the letters and things, the phone calls that I have gotten from people, it's unbelievable.
Everybody's in your corner.
Yeah, and the prayer cards and the medals and the different prayers, the different saints that people send me. I try to say one every now and then, and I have my own special ones that I say at night. But a lot of good come out of this thing as far as, you don't realize how many people are on your side out there. And that was tremendous. When they had the Democratic City Committee had that Father's Day brunch, and they sold that place out and had to pull an ad they were going to put in the paper out because the tickets went so fast. Charlie, that was a tremendous day for me to see all those people, all those people there.
I wonder as we talk, why, we wonder why people can't be more like that when we're all healthy, and is that
Yeah, but believe it or not, I'm not patting myself on the back, but my father used to say, you come in this world with nothing, and you go out with nothing. And if you can help some people along the way, he said, that's what life is all about. And I have tried to do that, and if I could help people to this day, if somebody calls and I can help them with something, I'm more than happy to do it, or try to do it. You can't do everything, but I enjoy doing that. It became a way of life, So I have had a lot of friends, but as you alluded to, you don't realize they're there until something happens like this.
And it's nice to know.
And the phone calls, I received a call from a fellow from Newport Electric who had retired 20 years ago.
Wow.
And he got the Newport Mercury. They ran that same article that Jim Gillis wrote,
Did a wonderful job.
And it got tremendous response. I'm sitting in the chair, 11:30 one night, 11:30 at night, kind of dozing off, and I get the phone rings, and it's Ken Cornell, who I work with at Newport Electric, who's been out of there 20 years, and he was just thinking about me and had to call and say hello. I received a call from a cousin of mine, first cousin George Donnelly, who I hadn't seen or heard from in years and years. Had no idea where he was. Often wondered, where he was. But he called me from Cincinnati, and I spoke to him at great length, and it was quite nice.
Harp, I want to ask you this. I hope that you live another 50 years, and if God wills you, you will. But what I feel I must ask this question. That question would be, what would you like your family, your friends, and the world to remember you both best for?
He wasn't a bad guy. I'd say that, yeah. Again, put me on the spot. Yeah, I would just like to say that I was a decent person.
And you were.